So Courtney Laplante, I actually do respect Spiritbox and Courtney Laplante, especially that whole Poppy situation was super funny.
Yeah.
But
rock royalty, Poppy. No, you are. I mean, you got nominated against Judas Priest, who I just talked to. Metallica.
I have to say, being I am Poppy, and
this kind of pissed me off.
So quick sidebar.
Yeah.
Have you heard the band that her and the guitar player were in before this? I Wrestled the Bear once. You should listen to some of their shit.
Actually, yes, I have. I didn't know killer. She was in that band.
It's very it's like bungle metal kind of. It's like very,
and I don't
like,
think was she. I don't think she was the original singer, was she?
I'm not sure. I think
she came in, and then they kind of branched off and started Spiritbox. But I could be wrong.
I don't know for the full story on that.
Anyways,
look into
Spiritbox. I'm sure a lot of you know who they are, or you've heard some of their music. So this is kind of ironic statement coming from her, I feel like. But she says, I think a lot of people are fed up with the perfect crystal production that is found in metalcore music right now. So
she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. But I encourage you to pause this, whatever you're doing. Go listen to any of Spiritbox's songs and then come back to this. Because I feel like just off that statement alone, and it's an article, so maybe she didn't say exactly that, but Spiritbox
might be in context. Might be in a different kind of context we're not getting to.
Yeah, but I just kind of want to touch on this because I thought it was ironic. So LaPlante said she feels that fans are sick and tired of everything being totally cleans up. Which is fair. It's a metal record. It's not a techno record. I think a lot of people are fed up with the perfect crystal production that is found in metalcore music right now. She said, we love big, pristine production, but the physical human performance in there provided by us isn't super edited or quantized this time around. Guitarist Mike Stringer also touched on Spiritbox's 2023 EP, The Fear of Fear, and how they played into the eventual writing process of Tsunami Sea. I think doing that EP was such a cathartic experience, sonically and lyrically, but it's also within its concept. It was great having someone else mix it, Zach Cervini, which meant that me and Dan Bronstein, co-producer, could sit there and be creative. We were able to put ourselves fully into it and then step away from it rather than making a 6-song EP our whole lives. So fair enough, I mean, they bring up a lot of good points, but I wanted to pull up, let me see, I didn't load them in before we got in here, but I want to pull up some of the comments because I feel like they kind of nail it.
The comment section is always brutally honest, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and I dig that for sure. Hold on.
Don't take that part of the internet away from us, censorship gods.
Exactly. Well, and people turn comments off for that reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this guy says this was the top comment. I mean, that's pretty rich coming from a band like Spiritbox. That's basically a pop production. There's nothing even remotely imperfect about their sound. Which again, he's right. Like, I feel like Spiritbox kind of fits into that thing that they're talking about a little bit. Because I've listened to a little bit. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's interesting of her to say that, because.
So let's talk about why there is a kind of a backlash to that, like super polished, like on the grid, as I like to call it. Because we've talked about this a lot with different musicians. Even the girl from what's it called? She had the most like bass take. The chick from Svalbard, Serena Cherry.
One really good example that I can use is we have Download Festival here in the UK, and the headliners this year were Metallica and Bring Me the Horizon. And Metallica played the four of them as a four-piece playing their hits and whatnot. And Bring Me the Horizon had a lot of backing tracks going on. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of discourse on Twitter saying, Bring Me the Horizon were amazing and sounded amazing, and Metallica was shit and stuff like this. And I wanted to be like, hang on, you're confusing
live music with kind of live music.
Yeah, exactly. And I worry there's a difference between a few necessary tracks and miming your vocals on stage.
Bring Me the Horizon comes out. They have all these tracks. They sound just like the CD. Everything's on the fucking grid. Yeah. And it's like very planned. Every element is perfectly placed. And then Metallica comes out and they play kind of raw and loose. And people are like, oh, you suck. And it's like, no, dude, like your framing is all off here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that the reason for that backlash, if I'm being brutally honest, is anyone can do that.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't take, I mean, and I'm not taking away from bands that do that. I mean, I would play to a click track on any recording I ever did. Maybe not in a live situation necessarily, but if you're going to do it,
but there's ways, like that's the thing, is there's ways, even if you're recording to a click track, obviously you want the rhythm and the stuff to be as tight as possible, but there's ways to keep it raw where you're not, over digital, like adding a bunch of synths and keyboards and like, not making it. So this comment kind of made a good point too. The second one right here, which is what was mentioned in the article. Tsunami Sea was produced by Dan Bronstein and mixed by Zach Cervini, who are basically touching every record in the metal genre right now, metalcore genre. So is anyone else confused by her commentary? Which is, that's kind of why I found it interesting, because, they're getting mixed by the same person,
You have to consider the motivation of an outlet like Metal Edge or Metal,
of course,
to drive clicks and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's how you make money in this ecosystem.
And they're doing it good.
I don't blame them, but you have to take that into consideration when you read a quote like that. It sounds probably a lot more like, I guess, aggressive or like, in your face than it probably was.
Then she said,
and there was probably a context around it that was like, maybe they're moving more in that direction as a band because they see
and that would be dope. And I'm glad,
because they're not. Yeah, I don't. By the way, they're a very talented band and they have some really great
for
shit.
Sure.
So I'm not.
And she's very talented vocalist, 100%.
And I love that women like her are fucking doing heavy shit and doing it well. Like Tatiana from Ginger is another.
And even example. If they aren't exactly practicing what they preach, in my opinion, I think it's good that she is saying that, and that's starting to become a thing again, where people are more focused on the actual art rather than like, how perfect, because the imperfections are what make it the art, and what totally. Put it like that. I kind of, what pops into mind is that beginning of the solo in Master of Puppets. There's this part where Kirk Hammett does this like bend, and in the recording, he like bends the string off the fretboard, and it sounds like weird. And he could, you can't really recreate that, but it's in the recording, and it it's never, it's never changing. But it's an imperfection that almost adds to the solo and adds to like, the depth of it,
Yeah, and it's like I have this. I'm going to get super philosophical on you for a minute here.
Yeah.
I had this kind of philosophical moment where I realized that like what's cool about, just life in general, whether it's music or art, is the imperfections. And because that's what makes things different. That's what makes everything different. Those slight imperfections. And that's the beauty of the life, right? It's good because it's like without that, everything would just be monochrome and the same,
And art is supposed to be
beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's supposed to be beautiful, and art is supposed to be a reflection, of the artist's view or perspective on the world. So if it's like the world is not picture perfect, the world is not like,
I mean, the music I love the most in this genre is the stuff that sounds the most gritty and like almost like pushing the edge of like where it's about to break. Like I talk about this a lot. Like I love the energy of a band that sounds like they're about to fall apart. Like they're going so hard, it sounds like they're about to like just like go off the rails,
Yeah.
You can hear it in the energy of the band. And like Slayer had that energy and it still has it. What's another band that has that?
Dillinger.
Nails, Dillinger. Yeah. So many bands have it, but